Good morning. Welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Graddick, your host. Yes, 2 days in a row, I'm back in the chair and honored to have a very special program today. We have Gary Black, who's a candidate for U.S. Senate. Gary served as Georgia's Agricultural Commissioner. He's the 16th Commissioner of Agriculture in Georgia's history. He's in his third term. Served in various leadership positions during his 40-year career in Georgia agriculture, extending from the Georgia Farm Bureau to the Georgia Agribusiness Council. Graduate of the University of Georgia College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, and a past president of the College Alumni Society. He currently serves on the Advisory Committee of the United States Department of Agriculture, Environmental Protection Agency, and the Export-Import Bank of the United States under his leadership. Georgia Department of Agriculture Divisions for Information Technology, Animal Health, Homeland Security, and Food Safety have garnered national acclaim. And Gary will be, after this program, he's going to be heading to City Station for a meet and greet kind of get together at 10 a.m. So you're invited. And with all that said, good morning, Gary.
Steve, good to see you this morning. Good morning to all your listeners. Let me correct, we had a great meet and greet at City Center yesterday.
Oh,
Love for everybody. We appreciate the chair of your county commission and others and wonderful folks. But that was a good deal. We'll come back it's been a wonderful 2 days here in this in your county and Heard County. Mighty good grassroots teams here working for us, and thankful to Dave Huddleston. David's leading our team here in Carroll County. But it's good to be with you this morning.
well, no surprise the host doesn't know what day it is, but that's not par for the course.
Sometimes that goes for candidates too, but today we're maybe on top of it today.
Well, what I do know, I may not know exactly what day it is, but I do know in the last 2 or 3 days the world has become much more of a dangerous place. And it's a very sad day for America. It has been the last couple of days with what's happening in Afghanistan. And as a candidate for U.S. Senate, what's your thoughts and feelings about what we've witnessed?
Honestly, embarrassed. I am. We're staring tragedy in the face. I woke yesterday morning, of course, we were all in horror over the weekend as we saw what was happening and looking at. One of the first things came through my mind yesterday morning is looking out over the pretty scenic pasture in northeast Georgia where we live, and it's cabin season. And my wife and I, before I kind of dove into coming to Carroll County yesterday, and just thinking about what are the parents in Afghanistan thinking today for their children, their daughters, the horror that we've abandoned them. Were we going to have an exit strategy? Yes, but has this unfolded in disastrous proportions? Absolutely. We shouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised. We have an administration, we have a president that ran a campaign from his basement, and yet we look on the media and we see an empty situation room. And I still suggest the situation in America is a lack of leadership. It's a lack of leadership at the top. It's a lack of leadership with Raphael Warnock, John Ossoff, who our two United States senators totally silent as this event was unfolding, and it should be outrage on behalf of every citizen of the state of Georgia. We've tried to answer boldly and swiftly. I think there's some things that we need to be talking about, some steps that need to take place immediately. But this Saigon 2.0. Yet again, I graduated high school in 1976 and have a really a disgusting memory of what happened years ago. But this is on the Biden, Warnock, Ossoff, Pelosi, Schumer, and every other leader in the Democratic Party. It's on their watch. Well, to hold them accountable.
Whether it was the Bay of Pigs or the Saigon or the loss of the embassy in Iran. I mean, you mentioned about weak leadership, and evildoers tend to become very bold when there's weak leadership.
It's as we're thinking about those parents in Afghanistan, I would suggest we should also be thinking about those parents that rose for a second morning in Taiwan, wondering what could happen across that body of water, and then what economic questions come into line, not to matter just overall instability in the world. And if there was a time when we needed a spine, we had a president with a spine. We've resorted to the thought processes of the 1970s, which by the way, that's when this president was elected first to the Senate, was in 1973. Mm-hmm. And we've returned to those 1970s policies. We're already seeing it at the gas pump. We're seeing failed leadership, this weakness, and the doors of terror and evil that are open when a strong arm's not there to keep them closed. And that's, unfortunately, we're seeing that before our very eyes.
I think everybody, or most everybody, wanted to see us get out of Afghanistan, but the way that it was conducted was horrific and disastrous.
It is.
And I think that's the issue.
Exactly. I think there's four things that ought to happen. One, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff ought to be fired. He's not the man for the job. He's been spending too much time making sure this Army's woke or whatever modern anti-military philosophies that we want to put into play. It needs to go now. Secondly, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, I call on my opponent, Raphael Warnock, to join me in petitioning the leadership of the United States Congress to call the Congress back into session, abandon the August recess, all of the trips and all of the good things. How in any part of our conscience could we possibly be off attending to anything else except the safety and security of this country? And the Congress needs to be back in session now. There needs to be a full investigation of everyone that was responsible for this lapse in leadership, lapse in intelligence, whatever that lapse in communication might have been between the intelligence community and the military establishment. That we need answers. The American public, the people for 20 years who have supported the Gold Starred families, those folks that have lost loved ones, who have invested life and blood and treasure, that we deserve answers. We deserve them right now, and the Congress ought to be back investigating it. We've investigated every other all other silly notions. We need to get back to serious business. I think it starts with that. I really believe that there are those kinds of steps. People are crying out for leadership, and we need those now.
I think 2,300 American lives were lost. I don't know how many were injured over the 20 years that we were there. I also think it ought to be noted that next door is Pakistan, which is a nuclear power.
Exactly.
So if this becomes a new breeding ground, or a resurrected breeding ground for terrorism, then that probably needs to be taken into consideration.
It most definitely, Steve. And certainly, when you're looking at the challenge, the immediate challenges, the safety and security of those folks that we still have left there, as the issues you talk about are mentioned, or as those unfold before us. There's safety and security, evacuation of those folks, personnel, translators. My good friend, Commissioner of Insurance John King, was all over the news yesterday. He, being a Major General and has experience in Afghanistan, General King knows firsthand of a number of translators that he himself and impassionedly promised to get them out, yet under the cover of darkness we abandoned them. And he fears for their life right now. But we should make that a top priority of the military, top priority of intelligence community, to bind ourselves together to rescue these heroes that are still there. We're troubled about that world scene when it comes to what could happen with nuclear weapons that are scattered all abroad, and yet what's going to happen at that border. I'm also concerned about returning to President Trump's borders, our border security initiatives, because if we do not think these who they have loosed from jail will not return to the shores of this country to try for retribution, that's not an if, it's a when, and we've got to return. Congress has got to get back in session and fix this border.
I mentioned about being more of a dangerous world than it was 3 or 4 days ago, but before we go to our first break, you mentioned about China. It seems to me that we're opening the door now for China, and I think would be a logical timeline would be that for them to take on or to invade the Republic of China on Taiwan, to do it sometime before the elections next year. And I read where Japan is putting in missiles at some of the islands north of Taiwan, and it just seems like it may come down to Japan as the one defending Taiwan, and we'll probably stand down.
That would be another abandonment. That would be an embarrassment to the history of the greatest country on earth, and hopefully we will find some spinal fluid somewhere between now and then that would help. That's why we need to return Republican leadership to the United States Senate. If we could do that, perhaps we could patch some of the holes in the dike that have been created by these really just an embarrassment display of.
Has the incumbent senator made any statement regarding the situation in Afghanistan? Has he made any statement?
9:50 last night.
Oh, okay.
Totally, the United States Senator for the state of Georgia, Raphael Warnock, made no statement during the unfolding of these events in Afghanistan. But last night, some milquetoast response at 9:50 last night. And I know for a fact that General King, Commissioner King, was petitioning that office all day long yesterday and never got a return phone call till about 4:30. And they had a great aha moment and went back and checked how social media was treating this and all this. But still, I don't think they've certainly not received any definitive answer from them. They got a phone call. But we should be concerned about China. Another thing that we've got to be concerned about Georgia.
Yeah,
we should be the Georgia border. We've got to be about the Ukraine.
Yeah,
the Russians are emboldened when anytime the communist leadership sees weakness,
right, then
we as Americans should be concerned about that. That's why it takes a boldness from all leaders, from the United States Senate all the way up to the President of the United States, to make sure that we're standing against evil. It is the evil empire. Reagan said it was. It's still evil today. And the only way we're going to solve problems is call them exactly as they are.
Gary Black is our guest this morning. He's a candidate for U.S. Senate on the Republican ticket. He's also Georgia's Agriculture Commissioner. We'll be back with more with Gary after these words.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
As a graduate of Oak Mountain Academy, I've found that my experience on the mountain prepared me beyond all expectations. As a junior at Auburn University, I approached my studies with great confidence thanks to what I learned at OMA. When I think back on my time on the mountain, I think of my teachers. Their genuine love and concern for me as a student was always evident, and now, as an adult, I still foster those relationships. I'm Carly Robinson, an Oak Mountain Academy alum. Visit oakmountain.us to see how you can offer your child an amazing opportunity to be a warrior.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Raddick, your host. We got Gary Black, candidate for U.S. Senate, Georgia's Agricultural Commissioner. And we're on Facebook Live. And we're also streaming to our website, newstalk1330.com. And we have a News Talk 1330 app, and we're on 1330 and 106.3 FM. We've seen over the last year or so a defund the police movement across cities, and particularly in Democratic cities, we've seen an increase in some violent crimes. But yet you've come out and you've got the endorsement of 60 sheriffs, including Stacey Williams of Haralson County. Pretty proud of that?
Yes, sir. Very thankful for that, Steve. And matter of fact, we're up to 69 now.
Really?
And look forward to a couple more meetings today, and we continue to add. I said the reason we're not at 70 yet because they hadn't had time to call them all yet, but we're going through. The sheriffs have such great respect for the law enforcement community. Had a great visit with the Georgia Sheriff's Association a couple of weeks ago, and a very strong message. I contend that there are many. I don't know what people's thoughts. Many of folks that from their voting situation back in November had some challenges. Whatever, we've got to go back and appeal. And one of the messages this time, I tell you, anyone that would question where proper leadership comes from, if they were somehow abandoned or maybe changed voting habits one way, they got to return to Republican consideration, because I don't think people do not like being unsafe in their own homes, as this is unraveling before our eyes in Atlanta, other major metropolitan areas, and even in our rural communities, we're seeing that as well. Very thankful for law enforcement support. I told them the other day, Steve, I've never worn a badge, I've never worn a gun. I've never done that in my line of work. But my job as their United States Senator is going to be make sure that they can use both of theirs appropriately and on time to protect all of us. Defund the police is the dumbest idea I've heard since D.C. statehood. It is the notion that we set ourselves up for weakness. Evil is attracted by weakness. Evil will find its way through the porous skin of a weak membrane, and that's what we're providing. That's what we're seeing. Our campaign, and I will be daily talking about refunding the police. It is about standing beside law enforcement, making sure we're going to have some creative ideas, I think, to support law enforcement on recruitment, on training, on making sure that compensation is proper, making sure, too, that like Sheriff Langley here, I know y'all compete. Every county in Georgia competes for different federal agencies where grants are actually available to support law enforcement. But you know what? There are counties that if you do a good job, somehow through those federal funding formulas, the better job you do makes you less competitive to receive that type of support. I think there needs to be some balance to that. We're going to be talking about as the campaign moves forward. But every possible notion that we can put forward to support those folks that put a badge and gun on every day, you'll find me being at the head of that class as your United States Senator.
Well, we talked about, you mentioned the 70s and the Carter administration, but the infrastructure bill just passed, the $1 trillion, close to $1 trillion. Critics say it's the beginnings of the Green New Deal. We've seen gas prices go up 50%. We've seen pipeline cut off in America, but extended in Russia, and ANWR is now closed off. Tell us about, and then now we get talk of inflation. It does seem like a return to, you mentioned, I think it was Jimmy Carter 2.0.
Yeah.
Those were, inflation, high interest rates. I lived through that too, and it was a horrible time.
I am confident we're living in the days of Jimmy Carter 2.0, which is going to yield the Ronald Reagan days of 2.0. Those days in just a very short period of time. Let's hope and pray. This is we say to our energy industry here in America, put on pause or stall, whether it's coal, oil, our pipelines that we were previously under construction. But no, what we do is empower the evil empire we should call our actions. I mean, this is like this administration is the economic development director for Russia, for communist China. Whatever we can do to try to put us at a disadvantage, it seems like it is a plan. I hope and pray not, but it certainly those are the efforts that we're seeing. I think that when citizens get to that question of, are you better off? Which that's, again, we're revisiting some of that parts of history. I think we're going to see them say, this is not. I've got buyer's remorse. I'm hoping that there are voters out there right now that after 7 months they're looking straight into these are people that said, I want to fundamentally change America, and it's taken 7 months for us to increase inflation, increase gas prices, put a dampening, a cooling effect on this economy, and then yet set areas of the world on fire. Come up with it. Let's talk about getting back to infrastructure real quick. I want to build roads and bridges. Everybody does. That should be a part of the strategic plan of this country. Absolutely. I just don't believe it ought to be done in the middle of the night. I'm concerned that the old. I'm not quite old enough to remember it actually from working in political circles. But what was the old saying that Everett Dirksen, one of the Republican leaders back in the 60s, I think he told Lyndon Johnson, $1 billion here and $1 billion there, and all of a sudden you're talking about real money. Yeah. But we used to talk about billions. Now we're passing bills of trillions of dollars. There's no way anyone in the United States Congress knows what's in a $1 trillion package. I submit to you. Smart people up there, but some are. But I wish we'd get back to, could we have a $200 or $300 or $400 billion package to upgrade the Eisenhower interstate system? Absolutely. Should we be doing to protect our power grid? Absolutely. Should we taking steps to return to energy independence? Absolutely. Should we strengthen our ports? Absolutely. But not when we've got this climate package to go along with this, or this sensitivity training, or those other kinds of things that fill bills like this with pet projects. And what winds up doing, we're setting the next generation's fiscal future on fire every time we do this. And so that's why I've been pretty bold and said, look, the way this thing stands now, on this $3.5 trillion budget or the $1 trillion infrastructure package, this senator votes no and no. And I hope that once that infrastructure package gets back, my understanding is that Senator McConnell's been trying to get in a little bit better situation, which I would applaud him for, and perhaps that's why they've let it go another step. They'll have some more bites at the apple. Perhaps we can tease some of that out, get us to an infrastructure package that we could support. But we've got to have rural broadband. That's your EMCs here locally have exhibited great leadership in that area. That's another part of infrastructure.
And we're going to talk about that in our last segment when we come back. Gary Black, candidate for U.S. Senate, Georgia's Agriculture Commissioner. He's with us this morning. We'll be back with more after this.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
At Oak Mountain Academy, our daily schedule includes convocation, prayer, and the Pledge of Allegiance. By doing so, we build a family-like community where all students grow and flourish, and personal faith is encouraged. Through community service and a historical approach to biblical study, our students are taught the value of the warrior way: honesty, respect, and responsibility. Oak Mountain Academy. We are a family creating legacies. To learn more, visit oakmountain.us.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Graddick, your host. Gary Black, candidate for U.S. Senate. Georgia's Agriculture Commissioner's in studio. We're going to run out of time, but let's hit a couple things real quick. Census is out. 1 million more people now in Georgia than 10 years ago, but it looks like they're headed to Metro Atlanta. What's that? How do you interpret that as Georgia's Agriculture Commissioner?
One thing, Stu, we're going to be looking at as the legislature comes back in November, certainly where every one of these congressional district lines are drawn and every House and Senate district for the Georgia General Assembly. I think that's going to be, there's no doubt it's going to put a real strong fingerprint on Georgia's future about, because some of our rural members are going to have more counties to represent, and I try to look at the glass half full as some of that continues to concentrate in Atlanta. I think those of us from rural Georgia and from agriculture just gives us more new friends to make, and I think everybody wants to. Very supportive of Georgia grown products. They love farmers. They believe that's part of the quality of life. It's the $75 billion of our economy.
Number one industry in
Number
Georgia.
one industry still, regardless. So we make a lot of movies now, but that pales in comparison to the entirety of food and fiber. So I still think Georgia. Remember, Georgia in the Greek means a farmer. It's the female form of George, and so I do not believe that's by accident. I think
have never heard that.
I think that's the Lord's plan. That's what we're good at. We got 1 million more people, but that gives us more of a market, more people to feed.
I know agriculture is critically important for Carroll, Haralson counties. So, as we wrap it up, I hear something about some football player that may be running. What's the latest on Herschel Walker, and can you beat a Herschel Walker?
Yeah, he ran. We were my old classmate. He ran on the football field real good. If he wants to run in this, his first thing he's got to do is got to move back
from Texas.
Be good that you register to vote and actually have a period of voting and understanding what the citizens know. I know that's what my strength is from a grassroots standpoint. Every county. We're organized. We're working. If a friend wants to move back, make some contributions to this race, I welcome his ideas. But there's a lot of talk right now, and so this campaign's about action. Steve, we're organized in every county. I've said.
Okay. Well, let me just throw it at you because we're running out of time. Give me your 60 second. If you ask somebody for the vote, how do you do it?
Yeah, folks, trusted experience is what's going to win this race. There's no doubt in my mind, if there's ever a time for leadership, we've seen it over the last 2 days, the need for this, to stand solid for America, stand solid for Georgia. Do not sit on the sidelines while everything's unveiled before us. We've been blessed with a 40-year career in agriculture. That's still important for Georgia. Every zip code in Georgia is important, and I'm fortunate enough to be almost anywhere in this state. I'm 20 minutes from a friend, and building that historic grassroots involvement. Come be a part of our campaign. VoteGaryBlack.com is our website. Love to have you sign up on our grassroots network there. Get involved. We're Team 22 is a 22-member organizing committee in every county in the state of Georgia. Already a third of the way there, and already organized here in Carroll County. I know Haralson, Hurd, here in your listening area, already organized. Come join that team. We need 222 people on our organizing committee, and when we do that, we'll bring real leadership for the future of Georgia, stand up for our families, and just I will do a good job. I'll be a good senator. I'd love to earn your vote.
Gary Black, candidate for U.S. Senate. The website, VoteGaryBlack.com. Thank you, Gary, for coming in. We'll have you back, and it's going to be a very interesting political year coming up.
Thanks, Steve. God bless. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Community Voice on WLBB, Carrollton.